Hello and welcome to my podcast, and thank you so much for joining me. Since this program began, we have been overwhelmed with the feedback, and we have taken note of all the suggestions. Now, regarding today's program, in 2016, my hairdresser then came to my house, and she looked like she had been crying the whole night. When I asked her what was wrong, she said that her daughter had been raped. Now, what was even more shocking is where this rape occurred and by whom. Well, today, Justina Mushipe is joining the conversation to share the story on how all this alleged rape has impacted her family and especially her daughter. Justina, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much, Miss Celia.
How are you?
I'm fine now, thank you.
You're fine now?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes.
Let us start from the beginning. I think
Okay.
that's always the best place to start in a
Yes.
conversation. Where were you born and when?
I was born in Churundu, 1989.
1989.
Yes, 4th February. Yes.
And your parents are still in Chirundu?
No, from there we moved to Lusaka, and that's where I grew up in. Yeah, then my both parents are late.
Where did you go
Yeah.
to school?
I went to Momuni Primary from grade 1 to 7, then joined Lotus Basic School, that's grade 8 and 9, then joined Libala. Yes.
And growing up, what were your dreams? What did you want to be?
Growing up as a girl child, last born of 6, I had so much dreams, and more especially when my parents were around, always wanted to make my father proud. Yeah, but my dream changed, circumstances of my late passing. But I never gave up in life. I had my brother and my sisters were still there for me. Yeah.
Did you do any training, any formal training?
I did a cosmetology at Lusaka Trades. That's where I get my skill as a hairdresser now. Yes.
So you've been a hairdresser for
I've
how
been
long?
a hairdresser since 2011.
2011.
Yes.
Are you married, Justina?
I was married for 3 years, then we separated, but I'm now single. Yes.
Was that difficult?
It was, yes, it was very.
I recently read in the media that the number of divorces in Zambia has really increased. What do you think?
So much, I think, on my part, I can say maybe I was still young, then looking at things couldn't work out. So I couldn't just force things because of I have to keep my child. I had to move on. I had to work hard and just say this can't work out. I can take care of my child on my own. Yes.
So you have one child.
Yes, I have one child up to date.
It's a girl.
Yes, it's a girl.
It's a girl,
Yeah.
okay. Now, let's go back to the fateful year,
Okay.
2016. Where were you living at that time?
That time, that was in 2016.
Where were you
Yeah,
living?
I was in Mtendere by then.
And you were
I was-
working in Mtendere?
Yes, I was working by Manda Hill by then. There was a company called Vanilla. Yes,
That's where you were
that's where I
working?
was working, yes. But I was living in Mtendere.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, you're a hairdresser, a single mother.
Okay.
When you go to work, whom were you leaving the child with?
I was leaving my child with my elder sister because she wasn't working. So she was the one who was taking care of my daughter while I was at work.
Did your daughter ever go to nursery school?
Yes, she did. Yes, she was at the nursery school just near home, just there in Tende.
Why
Yes.
did you pick this particular nursery school? Did you visit it? Did you feel your child would be safe there?
I've only visited once, and it was near home. So on my side, I thought it's okay because it's actually near home. It was a walking distance for her, and I felt it was safe.
At nursery school, she was walking to home by
Yes,
herself?
it was very near. Yes, so my sister would just push her up to the gate, then, yeah.
Then should get
should
back
get,
by herself.
yes, yeah.
Okay. Now, on the 21st of June in 2016, you claim that something horrific happened in your family. Tell us about that day. How did it start?
Okay, that that was the worst experience I can say. Because it was on the after I knocked off from work, I found my daughter sleeping. And
At home?
At home, yes.
How old was she?
She was 7 years by then, yes. So she was too playful. So getting back from work, finding her sleeping, it was not okay with me. Asking her what happened, she was, no, I fell in class.
Who was at home with her at that time?
My sister was at home, and I had a neighbor we used to call grandma. We were very close, yes. So my sister was there and my neighbor was there. But for her, from work, from school, yeah, she just said, I'm not feeling well, I fell in class.
Let me just get you back a little bit.
Okay.
She used to go to school from what time to what time?
She would report at 7:30, then she would get back home by 16:30.
And she was 7 years old.
She
what
was
grade
7.
was she
was in grade 1.
In grade
then,
1?
Yes.
At a government school or a
private school, yes.
In Mtendere?
In Mtendere, yes. A C-section.
So she was sleeping on this day?
On this day, yes, I found her sleeping, which was unusual with me. I never used to find her in that mood, but she was so down that day. So trying to find out the problem, she told me she's just not feeling well. She fell in class. I believed it. She had a bath that night, which she did by herself. Yes, she said, no, I'll bath myself, it's fine. So, because I didn't know how it was, what happened to her. I believe the story, yes, I believe the story of falling. So I just let her at the bath and sleeping.
So you slept that night?
We slept that night without knowing anything.
The next day?
So the next day, I woke up telling her not to go to school, and she was so much into school.
You were asking her not to go to school?
Yes, because of not feeling well. She said, I'm still not feeling well. And I told her not to go. Then she told me, we have midterm test, so I can't
not go to school.
Yes. So I had to let her go to school, which we did the usual. I escorted her because the time that I would go for work, that was the time she would also go to school. I gave her a push. As usual, she went, and I also left. So when she came back from school,
that day,
the next day, on the 22nd now of June, because she had the wound. So I think...
Let's go back a little bit. You came from work again?
I came from work.
You found her at home?
I found her at home, yes.
And then what happened?
We slept on the 21st, when it happened.
That day you slept?
That
now
day we
on
slept.
The 22nd?
On the 22nd, she went to school. I went to work.
And then
I
when
was
you came
called
back?
in the middle. I didn't knock off. I was called in the middle of the day.
By the school?
No, by my sister. Because when she came back, because she knocked off early that day because of the test. So my sister noticed something, that this is not right.
The child is not okay.
Yes, the child is not okay.
So you rushed home?
I rushed home, yes. Getting back home, we sat down with her, asking her, and really because she was threatened.
Now, let me ask for clarity.
Okay.
What caused your sister to call you? What did she notice when the girl came back home?
When the girl came back home, she wasn't able to stand straight. Even when sitting, you would see the pain on her face. She was so much in pain.
She was uncomfortable.
So she was uncomfortable in doing everything. Even sitting, even just walking, she was very uncomfortable.
And on the 21st that night, you didn't notice that?
I noticed the pain, but she was hiding it.
Okay.
So on the 22nd, I think the pain was just too much for her. So she just couldn't go on with it.
Okay.
So we could tell just by looking at her, you would see she's really much in pain.
So you sat with her when you got back home?
Yeah, that's when we sat with her, yes. I just had to rush back home because of not feeling well.
Okay.
So when I rushed back home, we sat down with her, with my sister and my neighbor. That's how we started now asking her questions. Because my neighbor had a feeling, maybe, this girl child, you can't know. And thinking, we thought maybe just around because the environment, Combon area and stuff. So we started asking her, did anything happen at school, or did anything after school? Maybe you didn't come home straight. What happened yesterday? And she said, the man told me not to say anything.
That was her first answer.
That was her first answer. She
The
said,
man.
the man said I should not tell anyone.
Let's stop a little bit. What was going on in your mind at that point?
Honestly speaking, I felt something from me, like, I don't know, I lost my mind. I couldn't think straight. You know, as a mother, just that word of a man,
Said, don't say it.
don't say anything. It was really so hard for me.
So you continue interviewing your daughter.
Yeah, my sister did, because I think I didn't have any words to say in my mouth. From there, that really disturbed me. So my sister continued asking her questions now. Which man said what? She couldn't say, because she was only 2 weeks at the same school. Yes. So she didn't even know his name. She just said, a man at school told me not to say anything. Why did the man say, because she couldn't even describe that thing he did. She just said he was on top of me. And he was shaking. It was so painful. Then she showed us the parts now, why it was paining and what that man did to her. It was so hard for me.
Your daughter is telling you that somebody did something to her at school.
Exactly.
What happened next?
At that moment, I just think my sister was there, because I didn't know what I could have done. I got so emotional, but I had to look at my daughter's health first and put everything aside. So we had to rush to the hospital. Yes, we went to the police, gave them a report, and we went to Mtendere Clinic. Mtendere Clinic, they advised us to go to Levy Hospital. And that's where we started now with the treatments and everything.
Well, what did they say at the hospital?
At the hospital, they would, because it was really a big cut.
On her
It
private
was on
parts?
her private parts. She was cut from the hymen to the anus. It was really big. And they couldn't sew it because she slept with that wound. They said yes. The doctor said, unless you came the very day, we can't sew it today. But we were given the medication and some other treatments that she was given. We were told to go to UTH. That was the very 22nd night. I just had to hold myself and just be strong for her. But it wasn't really easy during that moment. So from there, we did
she
a
stayed
report.
in hospital?
I was with her by then at hospital, but she wasn't admitted.
Okay.
Yes.
So you went back home
Yes,
on
we
the
went
22nd?
on the 22nd. That was 23 something. That's when we had to get back home.
Justina has just narrated the injury her daughter incurred after being raped. After the break, she reveals how she was almost paid off to drop the rape claims.
What did the police do? You went to the police the same night?
I went to the police the second day now.
Now on the 23rd?
Yes, we did a report. We gave them a report, but we went back now to start the process, yes, the following day on the 23rd now. So the police said, since she's a big girl, and if she knows the man, they advised me as a mother, I remain at the police. So they asked the girl if she can recognize the man, and yes, she said, yes, I can recognize the man. It was so hard for me. I remained at the police. She went with the police at the same school where it happened. And to my shock, and it was so hating, because I remember when I went to look for a place for her, he was the very man that I met. So it was so hard.
This man was working at the school?
The man was actually the headmaster of the school. The wife is the owner of the school.
And when you took your daughter to go and look for a school place, it was him you went
It
with
was-
your daughter?
I didn't go with her, I went by myself. But he was the man that I met, because he was the headmaster. He's the one I found in the office.
And your daughter went with the police to the school
To
and
the school,
identified
yes,
him?
and she identified him as he's a man who was on
Raped.
top of me, yes. Because she was young, she can't say that, she didn't know,
Word.
yes, so she was just saying that's the man who was on top of me.
Where did your daughter say this rape occurred?
It was in class. It's an arrangement of, there are 2 classes. When you go in, there's a class, there's a room, and there's another room using that. You use one door to go in 2 classes. So it happened in the other room,
Where there's no direct
where there's
door.
no direct door going outside.
Let me get some clarity from you, Justina. Where were the other children? Why was your child alone at school at this point?
It was during the break time, and she told me that man found her outside, because they have an arrangement where they all go out to have their break. Break, lunch, they would eat from outside. You know how kids are, so they're all told to go outside. So that man found her outside and told her to go back inside. So from there, that's when I started threatening her. There's something I want to do to you, but don't tell anyone. And she told me he gave her an apple and an orange. That's where that man did everything.
What did the police do when your daughter identified him?
That man was arrested that very time. That's how they came to the police where I was at that moment. It was really hard. Looking at that man, I left that police station. Yeah.
You
I
actually
couldn't-
saw him when he was
saw
arrested?
him, yes. I saw him being arrested, going in the cells. I saw that. I witnessed that.
How were you feeling at that point?
It was really hard. I fought my heart in pieces. You know, the times we say just a boyfriend breaks your heart, you say, I feel my heart broken. There are times that really you feel your heart is broken. At that day, I really felt my heart in pieces. But I just had to be strong for my girl. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it is actually because of this story that I formed the Show You Care Foundation to support many, many mothers who've had their children molested. And we also use the foundation to give support to orphans. We did support Justina in particular, showing solidarity at the courts when the case actually went to court. Let's get back, Justina. He is arrested.
Okay. I think the police, somehow, I didn't trust them fully.
Why?
Because
Why?
I felt, because I went to the police to get help. Then getting help from there, I had this arresting officer, I can't just mention her name. I felt like she was being bribed. Because I trusted my daughter so much. It's not me who came up with that story. It was my daughter who came to me. My daughter told me what happened to her, and I believe that story.
And she had
But
the wound, and the
and
hospital
the wound, I
treated
believe
it.
that because she had the wound, and yes, we got the medical, everything from the hospital, so she didn't make up a story as well. So why I did not trust the police was, the police started discouraging me, telling me maybe my girl is not okay, maybe she's mistaken, it's not the school. I mean, why?
And this is a female
Police officer, yes. Maybe the girl is confused, so I didn't know, I didn't understand why, more especially a female would be against something. Not really that she has to believe my daughter just there, but
The medical report
yes, the
showed.
medical report proves everything. So my daughter, I would ask her several times, if she's really sure about the man, and the man should say the same question, the same answer.
So after the arrest, what happened next?
After the arrest, he was taken from Tendere. I felt uncomfortable him being at Tendere because him owning a school, I'm sure he had money, and me by then I'm just a simple hairdresser and just a single mother. So I didn't feel comfortable him being around some police officers that he knew. So I requested him to go to another police post, which they took him to Woodlands Police. Yes. So from there also the medical got missed from the file.
The police said they lost the medical report.
Yes, they lost the medical report.
Was this after you had already gone to court or before?
It was before. Yes. So from there, that's when I came to you now, because I thought I really needed help, because I saw something funny, something not going straight. So me not having money because he hired lawyers. So I thought before I start with this process, I need some help.
So the case finally went to court.
Yes, the case finally went to court.
What happened?
The court really took long because the man had some funny issues with himself. It really, they would adjourn. Yeah, so it took about a year. Yeah, for the case to reach to judgment. She gave, but before we went to court, she had to identify the man again because of the police saying maybe she's just confused.
Yes.
And I think that from that statement, I think that police officer that I thought maybe was being bribed told the same man to say the same thing. So the man kept denying, saying, I look alike with my son. So how is it possible that it's me? How is she sure? So they had to do a parade at Woodlands Police, which my daughter identified him twice.
Again?
Again.
Was his son on the lineup
They
as
had
well?
to put the son on the same line. There were about 3-4 criminals, because I remember, I think on the line there were about, and again, I wasn't with my daughter by then.
They took her on her own?
Yes, on her own.
Was there somebody from childcare, from Ministry of Community Development or Youth, somebody from childcare with the police?
By
The victim support
then, no.
unit?
By then, no. It was just the police, me, and yes.
No, but they left you to
They
take your
left-
daughter to go and identify.
Yes, they did it from the grounds, then I was left in the office.
Okay.
Yes. So there were about 7 men. I remember there were about 4 or 5 criminals, and the same man and the son was
Okay.
also put. So my daughter just went straight
And identified
and
him.
identified him. They had to do a different changing of clothes, changing of positions. She went again direct to the same man because she was sure of him. She knew the man.
Okay.
So on the same day, she identified him twice
Okay.
and said, this is the man.
Before we get to what really happened at the court, his wife, the owner of the school, did she ever contact you? Did you ever come into contact? What was she saying at this point? Was she coming to the police, to court, to support him?
Okay, I don't know, up to date, I still ask myself a lot of questions because looking at a woman she has girls also. I mean, that's her husband. I know she came up to say, I know my husband can't do that.
She came to you?
The time that she came to my place, I wasn't there because I had to move from that place. I felt it wasn't safe anymore for my daughter. So I moved out from Tendere, I went to Chilenge. Yes.
But, so she came to your house?
She came to my house.
Whom
I
did
was
she
not
find?
there. She found my sister.
And said that
And
her husband...
said her husband is innocent. If it's money you want, we'll pay you.
So did you accept the money?
I didn't accept. What I wanted was justice for my daughter.
So you went to court. What was the judgment?
The judgment, despite taking long, it was so good that they really took their time until she gave her statement. Yes, she explained everything exactly. She never changed her story. Yes,
That he raped
'cause
her in
he
a
raped her
classroom.
everything that she told me. Because I was also not telling her to say, because in most cases like this, people, women would tell the children to say, you have to say this, you have to say this. But on my part, I believed she had her own story to tell that she told me. Yes, so she told her own story in court.
Was he convicted?
He was convicted, yes.
Okay.
He was given 30 years imprisonment.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. How did all this impact you? When it finally ended, how did it impact you?
It was really bad. There was something different, something bad.
Some people, when they have trauma, they'll turn to alcohol, they can't sleep, or they'll leave town. What happened to you?
Exactly what you're saying. Because at that moment, I think I'd given a step backwards with drinking and everything. But I think it really made me go back to drinking. I moved out of town. I was advised by the doctor to change environment for the sake of her, not finding people pointing fingers at her, old stuff, yeah. So I went to live in Kabwe. Where
left Lusaka to go and live in
yes,
Kabwe?
I left Lusaka.
That was the impact.
Yes, I had to leave Lusaka, and I had to go to Kabwe, where I had to start meeting new people, everything just being new for me. That was so hard. I didn't have any family that side. Yes. So it was, the experience was so bad, but I just had to be strong.
And your daughter, how has she recovered from this?
From, going backwards, I think she really had a bad thing about school. Because I think she had that maybe again it can happen. So I didn't even force her to go back to school just there. So we just had to just be there for her and just tell her whatever that happened, it won't happen again. But we had to give her time so that she recovers and just, it comes out from herself to say, I want to go back to school. Because I mean,
did she have any counseling from UTH or wherever church?
I had.
Did you do any counseling for her?
There's a doctor from UTH. By then he told me, as she's young, the counseling she needs is from you, a mother. And she needs love from you, a mother. So me as a mother, I'm the one who got some counseling from people from church, you, Honorable Celia, and some friends. Because I was there for my daughter. So for me, I really needed people to be there for me so that I can be there for my daughter.
It cost you emotionally, financially to move town and so
Everything, yes. It was so difficult because moving to a different, financially you need money to go to a different town, to start a new living, a new life, yeah.
Failing to hold her emotions, Justina narrates how she took to the bottle to escape the trauma. When we get back from the break, Justina tells us how she blames herself for what her daughter went through.
Justina, when you look back, do you blame yourself at all for this having happened to your daughter? Do you feel maybe there was something I could have done? Maybe I should have trained my daughter better at home to say, never accept to go with a man, even at school, to touch you. Do you feel you are to blame for anything at all?
After some counseling, I don't feel it now, but at first I really blamed myself. Because I thought maybe I could have told my daughter something about these issues. You know what I mean? Defilement and rape cases are that's so real. And you know, as women, as girls growing up, we never come out to talk about such issues.
So you think as a mother, you didn't give enough information
Yes,
to
I
your
really didn't
daughter.
give her so much information for her to know if this happens to you, you're supposed to do this. I didn't give her that information. So I really blamed myself so much.
You felt the school was safe.
Yeah, looking at where it happened, I thought the school was so safe. Mostly would think from the compounds, that's why we get these cases. But for me, it happened in a different way. Where I felt safe, it wasn't safe for her.
So you said he got 30 years sentence. Were you happy with that?
Because what I was looking forward to was just justice. I just wanted to see him getting just behind bars, because that was the justice I wanted. I didn't care about other years.
Okay.
What I wanted was just justice for my daughter.
Okay.
Yes.
Is he still in jail?
Because I was out of Lusaka. He appealed after a year. Which I was called by my sisters to say they've seen him out. I didn't believe it, so after some 6 months, I came back to Lusaka. Actually, I found him outside.
You've actually seen him?
I've seen him, yes.
You've spoken with him?
I haven't spoken with him, and I don't intend to speak with him, yes. But I went back to the magistrate, yes. So there's a clerk who told me he appealed to High Court, Ndola High Court. And they didn't also understand why it went to Ndola High Court. And that's, I wasn't informed of that. So I couldn't restart the case because that was so much traumatizing. Because it was a year plus the sentencing. So I just let it go. But it's really been hard. Because
so
the school is still running.
Have you made peace with the fact that he only served a year and now he's out?
Not really. Yes. Seeing him outside, despite I didn't care the years, but I didn't feel the justice of him coming out just after a year. Yes. And appealing, not telling me anything. So I felt unfair on that part. Yeah.
How old is your daughter now?
She's turning 16 in May. Yeah.
Is she in school?
She's in school, yes.
What grade is she in?
She's in grade 10 now.
And you think she's coping well? She's okay?
Looking at her, yes, she is coping up, but I believe the more she's growing, the more it's coming to her. Because she's knowing about men, she's knowing about the real thing. Well, you're not supposed to sleep with a man. I mean, she would come up to ask herself questions, but why did that man do that to me? So I've just, this time around, we talk a lot. I've just made it to be open with her.
You talk openly
I talk openly with her. I don't wait for her grandma to talk to her about some certain things, what we say, until the grandma talks with her. I just go direct to her. I feel if she has something from her heart, she just needs to come out straight to me. So I've been doing a lot of talking, but I still know it's still hating in her heart. She's still with it.
Are you sharing this story with other women? What is your message to other women?
I do share a lot with friends, with women around me, and I'd share this with other women out there.
I've heard stories of many women, even in families where a child is being molested by a family member. They are so embarrassed to share the story.
Exactly. On my side, I would urge with all women out there, let's come out. Let's help our girl childs. Let's stand with them. If there's an issue that you need to bring out, let's bring it out. Let's not feel embarrassed about it. Most of the cases, and in some ladies, I came across some ladies where the husband is doing that to the stepchild. And because of she has nowhere to go, she hides that story because she can't leave that man. So me as a woman, I would tell women out there to be strong, to work hard, not to sit on these issues. girl children are being molested, they're being raped, they're being done a lot of things that, as a mother, you need to stand strong for those girls.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Justina, we can only wish you and your daughter the best. And I think that sharing these stories in such conversations will give strength to other women to also try and follow justice and also seek help for themselves and also for their child.
Yes.
So thank you so much for sharing your story today.
Thank you so much as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, if you suspect that a child in your home or at school may be molested, it is very important that you go and tell the police, share this story, because that child will have a lasting impact in their life. So they need your help. I know it is very difficult with all the cultural barriers, but it is important that we think of the children first. And that's what we did to give support, moral support, to give solidarity with my colleagues in Show You Care to Justina to make sure that her daughter did not just get justice, but also got the help that she needed. Thank you so much for joining me today on this podcast.